Today, we're about to attempt what Bugatti think is impossible.
You can't do that in a garage. There's just a few places in the world with the right equipment and only a few people in the world with the right training to be able to do that.
This is the $6 million Bugatti Pursport that was crashed by Alex. After he got paid out from insurance, he bought the car back and then called me to see if I could repair it.
Start getting your flights, mate.
And last time I was here, I got all the damaged body panels off the car, the windscreen out, and all of the deployed airbags. Everyone who's got an Audi A3, you have a Bugatti in the airbag. On top of that, I completely stripped the interior out. But then I found more damage. Oh. And this was bad. It looked like a huge crack in the gearbox on both sides, which completely threw a spanner in the works. And that damage could decide whether this car's repairable or not. Now, one thing Bugatti didn't think we were able to do is separate the front end of the car from the rear. There's only 2 places in the world that can do it. And today, we need to make sure there's 3. In order for us to inspect this damage that's on the gearbox and even see if it's repairable, we've got to remove the engine. And to do so on a Bugatti, it means we have to separate the back end of the car from the front. And after our previous video went out, Matty Rimek, the CEO of Bugatti, mentioned it wasn't possible to do in a garage.
But in a Chiron, there's so many electrical wires, piping, oil piping, water piping, fuel lines that connect from the monocoque to the rear section, and they have to split the car in half. You can't do that in a garage. There's just a few places in the world with the right equipment and only a few people in the world with the right training to be able to do that.
And as we already know, Bugatti aren't going to sell us parts to rebuild this car, and they're not going to help us separate the car in half for sure. So I'm left with no choice but to give this a go myself. I don't have any special tools or special training, so if we manage to pull this off, it for sure will be a huge achievement.
Tony, do you think it's fixable?
Of course I do. And we're going to do it now. We're going to be the 3rd, what is it, manufacturer to be able to take this car apart. Whatever a man's took apart, another man can take apart.
Yeah. Here we go. We're in Black Horse Performance, which we'll explain while we're here later in the video, because it will all make sense. But for now, we've got to work out how we're going to separate the car in half. Engine out the back, tub out the front. We're just going to have to attack it and start undoing bolts. But I think the first step is to get the side skirts off. Side skirts off first, so let's do it. Okay, so our first step is to start by removing the rear quarters, which are hopefully covering over the bolts which separate the back end of the car from the front. Originally, I thought the side skirts were separate, but it turns out they're all part of the rear quarter.
Yeah. Today you've got a new apprentice that isn't me.
I have.
He could arguably be better.
I'm 100% better.
Will he be able to use the dugger?
Wait, what's a dog?
Once I've undone the bolts on the bottom of the side skirt, I started unclipping this bit of trim, which actually was clipped in the back and then double-sided sticky tape to the front. I then found out I didn't actually need to remove it. All I needed to do was take the door seal out, and it revealed more bolts that I needed to take out. I undid 2 bolts holding the carbon fibre piece in, but then it still didn't want to come out.
Is that so you don't break it either?
So I got Alex's cameraman to take a look at it instead.
Get in there. Good work.
And once he removed that, there was one more bolt which holded that trim piece in.
Yeah.
Nice work.
I reckon they did that at Bugatti every time they get something off this carpet. Sweet.
Tony, what do you think of the quality of the carbon fibre?
Very good.
Does it look like any other car brand that you've seen?
No.
Really, that good?
It's good.
I do think it is good. The idea is we've just taken bits off so we can get this quarter panel off. If Alex hadn't gone that fast, we wouldn't have to do this bit, really, would we?
I wasn't speeding at all. I wasn't going fast at all.
We're not the police, you do know.
Wow.
That was it. Oh yeah. Once we got that panel off, we could start to see some of the bolts which are holding the rear end to the front, which is a good sign. But there's still plenty more to undo. We're flying. As we take off each panel, it revealed more and more bolts holding this rear quarter in. And unlike normal cars where they're usually panel bonded to the monocoque, this A-pillar and quarter is literally just bolted. And if you go on the inside of the car, you can access all the bolts there. I did one side and Alex is undoing the bolts on the other side. It's actually a pretty clever design. And really, in my head, undoing and taking apart stuff doesn't really take too much skill, which is why it's worrying me that Matty Rimek has told us that it takes specially trained mechanics to get this car apart. I think there's going to be more bolts in the side, so we're going to take this engine cover off. There isn't just like a hatch like a regular car that you just pull a cable and this lifts up. There's bolts from underneath. I think, from what I've been looking at, there's 4 bolts which hold in this grill in. And then this grill will pop out, then I can access the bolts which hold the engine cover in. So I'm going to take this off first and then get them bolts out. That'll lift off, unbolt them, everything will come apart, and we're doing the impossible. I can see 4 bolts holding this grill in, 1 on each corner, then I can lift it out. Ah, I didn't need to loosen them all the way out. They're meant to slide out so then you can access the bolts for that. With that grill out, you can see 1 bolt here and 1 bolt there, and can get my multi-spline tool on it and loosen both of them out. And once I have got both of them out, I think it should just lift off. Wow. 2 bolts. The rear cover was just held in with 2 bolts. And look at that. If you need to top your coolant up, you have to remove the whole rear hatch to do so. The goal was to get the quarters off, but I am going to try and get this wing off, so then it just gives us a bit more leeway, and I think I can get that off in this position now. It's not too bad so far, but I think it's going to get a lot worse. Because if they said only 2 people can do it in the world, it's definitely not meant to be this easy. Again, the rear wing was really similar to the engine hatch. About 4 multi-spline bolts holding it in, and there's a couple of T30s on the edge. Yes! And again, it just lifted out. So far, so good. Rear wing off. We're still carrying on. We're trying to get this quarter panel off. There's more bolts we've found, which are down here, little T30s. And once we get that quarter off, we'll be able to visually see so much more and make a bit of a game plan on how we're getting this engine out. I think this car's put together really well. If you do cause any damage to your rear quarter, it literally will just bolt off. And you can put a new one directly in place. But I dread to think how much one of them costs. Time to get it in the air. The last few bolts of the rear quarter, I think, are in the wheel arch. So I'm removing the arch lining on the right hand side, and my dad is taking it out on the left hand side. And then we can take a look up inside this wheel arch to see if we can see any more bolts holding the quarter in. And there are the last couple of bolts. One at the top behind the light, and one on the side, and a final one which holds the quarter to the diffuser. That looks like it might come off. Just send it down and we'll take off a Bugatti apart. I'm now going to pop the wheels back on so we can send the car down and push it forward off the 2-post ramp, which gives us way more room to get this quarter off. And if this comes off, it was easier than I first thought. Oh yeah! Make a good bed out of that. Bed? A bed, huh? And look at that. The whole side of a Chiron completely off. It looks mental, that does. That looks absolutely sick. We're actually starting to see where the tub separates. Look, we've got multi-hex bolt there. One under here, just there. And there's going to be a load more underneath. We're slowly starting to see it now. And on the left-hand side of the car, exactly the same. Me and my dad lifted it off, and we've got to put it away in a safe place. And that is the whole rear end of the car and the side exposed. This thing looks mental like that. Look at that, all exposed. Big W16, 1500 horsepower, hanging out the back like that. That was well cool. That was easier to take off than the interior was to take out. But we don't actually need to take the bumper off at the minute. I don't think we do. Whilst we're doing this in true Matt Armstrong fashion, we might as well upgrade stuff whilst we're there. So the exhaust, we're gonna take out because we're gonna do something crazy with the exhaust. So I think I want to get this off so we can access the exhaust when we get it out. I'm hoping this is going to be as easy as the quarter coming off. Could be harder. Let's see. Let's start getting this rear bumper off, and then we're really going to have to start looking at separating the car, which is going to be a bit crazy. Here we go. Again, with the bumper, everything just seems to make sense. Rather than undoing loads of bolts and taking parts off bit by bit, we're getting closer. It seems like the whole bumper, with the rear lights and the rear diffuser, all come off as one entire piece. And it did. Yeah, boy. Which made things way more easier. And to be honest, more enjoyable as well. That's why the diffuser can hold, when Alex stepped on the diffuser and then stood on the wing, that's why it can hold him, because that is
a step.
Yeah, that's a full like carbon fibre structure. That's well strong. Cool, I like the way that come apart. Like, you didn't really have to undo many bolts. If you know the bolts you need to undo, you just undo them a bit, and because they're all cut out like this, like look, cut out, the whole thing would just slide off. So again, I've undone loads of bolts which I didn't need to, so I'm gonna put these ones back in.
Je passe toutes les nuits.
We're now getting steps closer to separating this car. The next thing, me and my dad are removing the air boxes because we think they're obstructing some of the bolts. Once we remove the air filters, there's more bolts inside the air box that we need to undo, and then we can lift it out. And even the air box is made out of complete carbon fibre. It's crazy to think how expensive these parts actually will be. Even the bolts holding them on look like they've come out of a Swiss watch, and you would never have seen them unless you were working on the car. But with them out, we can now lift the car in the air.
Tony, underneath here is some critical damage.
Yes.
But we're not going to show you yet. You're going to have to wait and see.
Okay.
Yeah, can't see it yet. No looking. It looks like, again, we can see bolt there to separate, bolt there to separate, bolt there to separate.
A total of 14 titanium bolts that the technicians are now fastening ensure that the front and rear sections are joined firmly together.
So we know there's 14 titanium bolts to undo, and at the minute we can only spot about 8, so we've still got some work to do. But before we even get to starting undoing those bolts, we've got to start undoing the gearbox from the front of the car. And the front differential is up here, and the gearbox is here, and the differential is above this big thing, which is the battery. And we want to take that out because we probably should have disconnected that already. The battery is like one I've not seen before. It has 4 terminals, a positive on one side here, then the earth cable directly next to it. We've got to disconnect both of them, and then in front of that there's another positive terminal and another negative terminal, all of which are joined together. Once they're disconnected, there'll be 4 bolts holding the battery in. And it was really light. Look at that. With the battery out, we can now see the prop shaft, or drive shaft as the Americans call it. We've got to disconnect this from the gearbox because this is going to stay on the car whilst we separate the back off it. We have marked it just in case it was balanced, so we know that we can put it back in the exact same spot. And after that, there's more coolant lines which are running from the back of the car to the front, which we're also going to disconnect, as well as aircon lines. Okay, we're doing pretty good. Electrical connectors are disconnected, prop shaft is disconnected, coolant lines disconnected. We need to save as much fluid as we can. We need to know what fluid is coming out because Bugatti are not going to tell us. What's next are these. So we think we've got a hydraulic line here, and then another hydraulic line, I've lost it, here. So there's 2. Then there's 2 more hydraulic lines, one there and one there, and then 2 brake lines. So you've got 2 brake lines for right wheel, left wheel. Then you've got 2 hydraulic lines per wheel. 1 for that wheel, 1 for that wheel. So 4 hydraulic lines, and we think that's for the nose lift suspension. And then if you come back down here, this is all the mechanism which controls the nose lift, which goes up. We think, it's just a theory, might be wrong, but only Bugatti know, but that's the only thing I could see that why these lines will run from the back to the front out of a hydraulic unit. We think it's going to be central hydraulic fluid in it. We're going to capture the fluid anyway, just to make sure, because if it's anything special, we need to put it back in. So Alex is going to catch the fluid, and we're going to undo it and make sure every bit is catched.
I got it.
Let's go. So it's time to undo these hydraulic lines, which we think is for the nose lift.
Wait, should we be wearing safety goggles? No?
Yeah, you should be.
You got healthcare?
Oh,
First one out, and there was nothing in the first one. We're good, we're good, what the hell, there's nothing there. So maybe it was just a return line, but the second one, there was a lot. And yeah, it's green, so it's looking like it's central hydraulic fluid. But we're gonna capture as much as we can, just in case. After I took off the other hydraulic line, Alex caught the fluid out of that one, and he was pretty happy with his contraption. After that, I had to undo a brake line, and just above that, another hydraulic line. And my dad and Alex was catching all of the fluid. This is the thing, this build is not like any other that we've ever attempted before. And because of that, we're doing things in a way we never would have done. All this fluid we would have disposed of before. There is still this big electrical loom here, which goes into the car. And I'm really hoping, I don't know yet, but we're gonna try. I think that is gonna be one massive plug inside here, like underneath the seat or something. I vaguely remember on the video where they built it all together, there was just one guy like plugging something in the seating area. So I'm gonna have a look at that when that comes down, see if we can unplug that, pull that wiring away, and as far as I'm concerned, everything under here is all disconnected and ready to go back. So I hopped up into the car, but then to remove the carpet, to have a look underneath it, I need to take the accelerator pedal out, because that's bolted to the floor. And once I got that out, I can then slide out the carpet, which should give me access to whatever is underneath it. Everything is all here. So all of these electrical connectors need to be disconnected, and then they need to slide through the tub onto the outside. But so far, to take this apart, I can't see why you'd need any special training. Unless I'm just being completely oblivious. It doesn't seem much different to any other car that we worked on. If anything, it's actually been easier. Now those connectors are undone, I can slide it through the hole in the tub, and that is job done.
Job done.
Next up are the coolant lines on the outside of the tub, which are running from the radiators at the front, which we need to get repaired, all the way to the engine at the back. But these are in a really accessible position on the side of the car. Alex has done the coolant pipes. Also, the wiring, which goes into the car, is all grouped up in here. So what we figured out is if we undo this box, then inside this box is loads more wiring, but again, just on connectors. And one thing we did notice is that all the wires are white, which would have been a nightmare if this car was fire damaged or had any wiring damage. It would have been really hard to know without a wiring diagram where any of them go, with them all being the exact same colour. And there was one final wire that we need to disconnect from this board, and once that's loosened, the front part of the loom should separate from the rear part of the loom. Got to undo these bolts here, and then start threading that wiring back out through the front of the tub. And my dad's doing exactly the same on the other side. Wiring loom for the front goes that way. So that's all the wires which should run to the back now separated, which is good on this side. That's pretty good. Once we know how it comes apart, I think it's gonna be so much easier for us to put it back together, because we know what we've taken off, what we don't need to take apart, what we don't need to take off. Like a lot of the stuff we're kind of just figuring out at the minute. But yeah, I think we're good. I think that's all the loom out. Just the last final bits, and this coolant bottle there, which I think you've got the massive coolant bottle for the engine, and then a separate cooling bottle for all the cooling for the turbos. It's a separate thing. I've got to get this out of the way because one, there's a bolt which is behind that, which is holding the rear frame to the actual monocoque behind it, but also there's a bunch of hoses and stuff which I need to get to behind it. So I'm just going to take these two bolts out and this should lift out. Okay, very expensive bottle.
Go over there.
Look at that little weapon down there. That bolt there is the one holding it to the front. So this is it. It seems like we're at the point where we need to loosen the nuts which hold the back end of the car to the front. We actually might be able to do this. First step, we're going to do all the bolts underneath and then we're going to do all the ones on the top. All this special tooling that Bugatti used, we of course don't have it. So we're going to have to compromise. So up the car goes and we're going to loosen everything underneath. Okay, first step complete. Bolt number 1 is now out. And these are titanium bolts. Straight on to bolt number 2. We're now going to support the gearbox just in case when I remove bolt number 3 and bolt number 4, the gearbox doesn't try and swing down. Next up is bolt number 5. Next one. And then bolt number 6 on the corner. Felt a bit of slack. We're getting a bit of daylight between the engine and the front frame. And now bolt number 6 is out. Now we need to support the rear end of the car and we're going to work out what we're going to do with the front end of the car. I don't know. Wait, Alex thinks we can lift it and move it. I'm going to back that, but I'm skeptical because none of us have ever lifted the front end of a Bugatti before. The tool that Bugatti use probably costs hundreds of thousands and we've got nothing like it. So we're going to have to improvise with it. Now my dad's on the inside of the car, turning the cable so it'll put the gearbox into neutral so we can push it forward again. And now that we've pushed it forward, we're going to put the arms of the 2-post ramp under the rear of the car to support the rear frame that the engine and gearbox is on. So this cable, which is used for emergencies to put the car in neutral, you pull it. I've disconnected it from here, but it looks like it's too big to fit through that hole, which is a shame. So really we've got to disconnect it from the gearbox. We can't do that now because we'll have to put the car in the air again. So what we're going to do is when we pull the front away from the car's going to go all the way to the end here, and then I'm hoping that's enough for me to find the cable when it on the gearbox when we move it forward, and I could disconnect it from there. Worst case, I'll have to snip the end. It is just like a BMX cable, and then we'll put a new fitting on the end. I don't want to have to do that, but we'll see what happens when we start moving it forward. So close now. With all the bolts being loosened underneath the car, it's time to take out the nuts and bolts holding the rear frame to the front of the car, which are on the outside. And now I'm undoing bolt number 8, I think. 6. And again, the same on the other side. And Alex is doing a few as well. Remember, there's 14 bolts which hold the back to the front, and we're hoping we've disconnected everything else which holds it. It wasn't long until I took the final bolt out. I'm going to slide a little bit of wood with some wheels underneath the tub and hope that can support the weight of it when we start pushing it away from the back.
Where did you get that from? There you go, we got one.
And on the other side, we use the wheels which come off the bin. It looks like we did miss a few pipes out, which were the fuel lines, as I thought the fuel tank come with the rear frame, but clearly it doesn't, and that stays in the front monocoque. So all the fuel lines have got to be disconnected, which we did. 3, 2, 1.
It's apart.
Is it 3 places in the world now?
And that's it. The front of the car was actually separating from the rear. My dad's now disconnecting that cable which ran from inside of the car to the gearbox, which now allows us to move the front of the car even further forward. The unit door's got to go up, and eventually we've moved it further enough forward that we was at the point we were all clear of the engine and gearbox.
Yeah, that should swing now.
Bro, the fact that this is on garbage can bins.
Yeah, it's literally on bin wheels.
Just think the money that we could have saved Bugatti.
We'd done it. I guess it is true what they say. If it was built by a man, it could be repaired by a man. But we all know it's one thing taking this car apart, it's another skill to put it back together. But this is just an example of one of those things in my life where someone's told me that it's not possible to do, which makes me just want to do it more and more. And I didn't get to the position I'm in now through not giving it a go. And look what happens. Sometimes it does actually work out. Time to start fixing. This actually wasn't too bad at all, and when we look at it, I'm trying to understand how this whole car works, and it's actually like well interesting. Like it's really cool. So the gearbox is here, right? Which actually isn't that big of a gearbox compared to other stuff that we've seen. Starter motor on the top, it's got regular starter motor. Thank you so much, Bugatti, we've not got any of that electric weird stuff. The fuel tank here and here. Big, massive fuel tank. I assume they need to be big because if this car's traveling at top speed, there's that crazy like story about that it drains its fuel tank in like 12 minutes or something. We think what's happened is the engine is shunted forward like that, and that's what's caused the crack. And we can see damage from that. So perfect example is this pipe here, this coolant pipe has been squashed because the engine's gone forward into that. There's a little bit of damage to the tub there. Like Bugatti will be replacing the tub because of that. That's, in my opinion, not going to cause any harm to anyone or anything. See here the dent from the engine coming forward like that. This tank is not a fuel tank. It actually looks like a tank for all the hydraulics of the gearbox, and that's how the gearbox selects its gear. All these hydraulics, all hydraulic pressure to use to shift. What we're worried about is to get to this damage, which I'll show you in a minute. It looks like we're going to have to take this gearbox away from the car. You have to disconnect it, and what I'm really worried about is if we undo these hydraulic lines and then when we put it back together, there's air in the system and there's probably a weird bleed procedure which you need a Bugatti computer for, which we obviously don't have. So we've got to either work out a way of disconnecting the gearbox and leaving the hydraulic lines connected, or we just send it and disconnect the hydraulic lines and hope when we connect it back up and fill the hydraulic fluid back up, it will still all work as usual. Let's take a look at the damage. You can see it now.
Am I allowed?
Yeah. That's holding the whole engine up, innit? Look at those two mounts there and there. And on the other side, it's the same story. But don't you think that this part actually will come off? Look, these massive bolts. And there was bolts on the other side as well.
That could be a really good design. If that comes off, that's a really good design that does come off like that.
Yeah, because then it's a completely separate part and it's not the engine block. Let's hope that that piece does come off separately. It actually bolts onto the engine mounts and supports the whole engine. But rather than the engine mounts breaking, the actual cast aluminium is broke. And it looks like if we're going to try and remove that part, we're going to have to separate the gearbox from the engine. First step, taking off this starter motor. O2M 911 024B. Exactly the same part number. That starts up a Passat and that starts up a W16 engine. What a starter motor that is. I bet they never go. Oh no. Okay, right, we're gonna get the starter motor off. First thing, let's get the power wire off without breaking it, because we wouldn't want to have to replace it, will we? Because we can't get one of these. Right, power wire. off. This car's going under a pretty serious repair, and as long as we put the car back together well, there's no way anyone should know it was in this state. Removed a starter motor from a Bugatti Chiron. The only way they would know is if they put the VIN number into Car Vertical, and if they did that, it would show them a full report of the car. It would tell them whether it's ever been stolen, whether it's ever been exported or imported, whether it's had any mileage fraud, and of course, whether it's ever been in an accident, just like this one. On top of that, I can see when the ownerships got changed, and even when this car was registered as damaged.
She's naked.
Right now, I'm having to undo these oil lines. There's no way around it. But I don't think these are the high pressure ones. These oil lines are literally just to lubricate the gearbox. Right, let's get this oil out. This is not the hydraulic stuff, so we're okay.
Is that from a soap dispenser?
Yeah. If it works, it ain't stupid.
It's actually working.
And of course, I'm trying to save every last drop of oil, just in case we can't find the correct oil to put back in it. The soap dispenser seems to be doing just fine, getting out all the last little drops of oil. We are being forced to drain this tank. This pipe here goes to the gearbox, and it doesn't look like we're going to be able to take the gearbox off with that pipe connected. The other big hydraulic pipes here, with pressure in, we might get away with, we might. But let's drain this fluid out. We ain't gonna regret this, because this could be the difference between having a Bugatti which drives and not drives at the end. Another thing Car Vertical might do is if the car was involved in an accident, it's likely to show you photos of when the car was auctioned off at the car crash auction site. Just like this one. All the oil's drained, the lines are off, apart from the hydraulic lines which we think have got pressure on, which are going down and into the box there, and all the solenoids. We're going to try and keep them on just in case. But remember now, before we start undoing these bolts to take the gearbox away from the car, to check your car out on Car Vertical with the link in the description box below, and use the discount code which is on screen to get discount on that check. Now we send the car up, see if there's any bolts underneath we need to take out to take the gearbox out, because everything else, once this car is down and that gearbox comes off, we won't be able to raise it in the air again, especially with those lines connected. So let's make sure we're doing the right thing. Send it up, see if there's any bolts. So these are the lines that we've kept on the gearbox, and we're hoping to keep them on. They come out of actuators on top of this oil tank and run down along the side and then go to the solenoids on the box. And we think they're going to be under pressure, so we don't really want to mess with them. This is the damaged part, right? But we've got to commit to taking everything off, like these wires here. The wastegates to the turbo, it's easier to see on this side, but the wastegate for the turbo, which we think might be damaged, goes through and into that casing. So we need to make sure that that is, you can detach the end of the wastegate by a little 10mm grub, and it should come off the end of the wastegate. Like the wastegate's like that, and then the electronic section at the part there, which will push it in and out, is on this side. There's just one bolt holding it here, and we should be able to slide it off there, which is attached to this. You can see just here the little 8mm bolt that I've got to undo to get the electrical section off that wastegate. On top of that, I've got to start undoing the bolts which are holding the engine to the gearbox. I found out I can just twist the wastegate to get better access to that 8mm, which is going to help a lot. I've managed to get to it pretty easy on this side, but the other side's going to be a little bit of a challenge. But me and my dad eventually managed to undo all the bolts underneath holding the gearbox to the engine and those wastegate bolts. And now we're bringing the engine down to do the remaining bolts, which we can see on the top. Final bolt is out, and we should be able to separate the gearbox on the engine. And now we can find out whether that damaged part will unbolt separately. Yeah, the theory worked. And it's looking pretty good. The flywheel's in the centre, but the bolts around the outside look like they'll release that damaged cast aluminium part. All we've got to do now is unbolt the flywheel, which is super lightweight, and once that's out the way, we can access the bolt which is hopefully holding in this damaged cast aluminium part. And once those bolts are out, we can start wedging away this part away from the engine. And it should be a little bit easier at the minute because it is broken. Yeah, boy! All of that for this. That's
so bad.
a lot of force has gone through that, innit? But that's the weak point, innit? Like that. Like this is strong, and then as soon as it's made little wings off the side, it's just gone snap straight off. Okay, we've still got the rest to get off. This is going to be trickier. We've got to get the rest off the engine mounts now. And then we also then got a plan. We've got to make a plan on how we're going to fix this. Because after we do this, the whole car can go back together.
Where did the music go?
Now we just need to get off the remaining part of that broken aluminium piece. You can see it's resting actually on the engine mounts. So now I'm undoing the 2 bolts which hold it to each engine mount. There's one out, and here's the next one. And the only thing holding it in now is the wastegate. But eventually, it come loose. Yeah! It's off. The wastegate actually looks okay. Originally, I thought this might be bent because all the weight of the engine went onto it. But it looks like it survived it. Someone told us that that wastegate has to be in the exact position going on there, else it's not gonna work. But it's got, look, it's got that slinky on. It's got 2 slinkies, so it actually doesn't matter. Look, it's got loads of play. And as long as it twists, that's just opening and closing the wastegate. So it doesn't, if you're a mil out, it's really not gonna matter at all because all it needs to do is twist. I could be up here. I could literally be up there, and that's still going to twist. All the electronic wastegate does is this is plugged in. When you let off the throttle and it's got that excess boost, this will just twist to open and close the wastegate electronically. The annoying thing, it just sits in that mount, which is here. And you can see it's just broken clean off. But there is a chance we might be able to get it repaired. The next step is getting the other side off, which is broken in the exact same way. Yeah, boy! And there it is, the last remaining piece. Oh yeah, that's crazy that the whole weight of the engine is on that platform. And this part here is the whole reason we've had to strip this whole entire car to pieces. Let's just hope we can get it repaired. Or even made. Look at that. Look at that. There's good news and bad news of all of this. We got good news is that we've now took off the last part of the car that's broken. It looks like this. We still have little things to fix. We've still got the chassis legs at the front. We've still got the carbon fibre damage at the front there. We've got the interior to go in. We've got the whole back of the car to sort out. But everything from now on means we're putting back together and we're fixing without parts from Bugatti. And we've already done and accomplished what we were told couldn't be done, which is give us confidence. Maybe it's false confidence, but I don't know. We will still proceed from here. The next step is to try and get that fixed, because as soon as that's fixed, we can start building up the rest of this back up. Once that's built back up, we can attach it back to that. Once that's attached back to that, the interior should be trimmed and done, and all the airbags from the Audi A3s, the DB11s, can go back in. The interior can go back in. Then we can pay our attention to the front, and we can work out what we're going to do with this. And that is the reason why we're here at Black Horse Automotive, because these guys can actually 3D scan and make parts from scratch, which we're hoping they'll be able to scan a Bugatti Pursport and section in this part here. Again, all of this at the minute is all easier said than done, but we're not going to stop. We literally don't have any other choice. we've done well.
The challenge has only just begun.
Yeah, we only just started. And if you're excited for the next video like I am, subscribe the subscribe button, like the like button, and share that share button. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out.
Do you want me to go there and you to come here?
There's no way that's going to happen in it. Yeah. We've got to think fast.
Yeah,
Which way are you going?
We got about 15 seconds to
Which
go.
way are you going?
Okay.
That side.
Yeah,
right
yeah, I
there.
think I'm going to go to that side. Yeah, alright. 3,
Okay.
2, 1, go.
Like a drug that I just can't deny.